18 days in. I'm your host, and I'm very tired. Good evening, welcome to the show. So, yeah, 18 days in, as I expected, given the last 8 days of light exercise. I've slowly picked up weight, which is good news. Means that I can pick it up healthily. But the more interesting thing is that I've dropped in size from a triple XL to a double XL. So my gas magazine drag race top, if you will, that I got last year, I've only just worn for the first time. So that's quite significant. And it just goes to show you that it's not really got anything to do with weight loss, because that can be made up of fat, muscle, bone mass, water. So yeah, interesting. Not, I suppose, surprising for me, but very interesting. So this week I've been trying to not necessarily go the lion diet route or the carnivore route like everyone seems to be going, but I've tried to see where it leads, how my body reacts to that. So, usually I'll be, for the lack of a better word, banting. And that'll include, fruits, vegetables, and all of these things. But I've discovered over the last few weeks that not all vegetables are what they seem. Weirdly enough, I managed to find a second or a newer revision of The Food Revolution, which is the first book that I read about nutrition. It's not exactly, I'm not one for reading books, but either way. The new one looks to be a lot more condensed. The lists seem to be different. So the only thing I can gather from the list that I'm able to eat is what I've been putting on my status. Meat, eggs, butter, cheese. Well, even cheese and dairy is on the orange list. So we'll see. And this week I've been trying to just eat beef, fat, salt, maybe pepper. That's about it. And it's been quite unsuccessful, I must admit, because I've almost been craving a carb of sorts. I don't know if that's, me messing with my body and giving in to the beef acne that the body sells. So not last week, the week before, it was the Friday that I had. And then the weekend past, it was the Saturday that I had. So yeah, it's interesting to note. But, I've been doing some light walking and increased my speed from about 3.4 kilometers an hour to just over 5. And as I mentioned last week, I got blown out of the water by a speed walker. What I find now 2 weeks in is I can be walking my 5 kilometer an hour pace, and I can, suddenly at a whim pick it up. Almost borderline speed walking. So that's quite interesting because it means I'm getting light on my feet. The leg muscles are possibly growing, possibly swelling. I don't know. Like I said, I do know that I've dropped a clothes size, a top size, and I do know that I'm having to actually use the drawstring on my slacks and my pants and my tracksuit pants. Um, so yeah, those are, I suppose, good signs 18 days in. I mean, I haven't really been going at it as hard as I would have. So this is kind of an observation month just to see, what is happening with my body because, like I said, I've been struggling to gain the weight that I wanted to gain to be able to do this dramatic weight loss. Um, and I don't know, at this stage, I'll see if November comes around if I'm going to go full on fast food chain takeaways instead of traditional takeaways because that's been the one interesting thing as I mentioned before. So yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a few queries here and there. People asking me what kind of diet am I on? What is it that I'm eating? Am I really just eating that I'm posting? And I mean, yeah, if I post in there that I had like 2 slices of bread to wipe out the pot, I'm not gonna waste that fat and leave it to be washed down the drain. I'm gonna lick that pot clean. So then I'll have bread until I can figure out if it's gonna make sense for me to go and get these low carb wraps. Um, I've had them before with like a curry to simulate a curry and a roti. But what I have figured out is that the baked bread, the fresh baked bread that isn't shelf bread, is a lot less problematic. So I guess in a way I'm isolating all the foods that could be causing issues, and in my case, for the gout, I haven't been hampered by gout for the last 2-3 weeks, if not 4 weeks. If I last remember, I mean, the last time I walked into the pharmacy, I didn't go there for gout tablets, which was a big plus. So that was about 2 weeks ago. Or call it a week ago. Somewhere there. So there's a lot of positives. I can't really identify the negatives, but the one I suppose I can is the fact that I feel for something nice, but it ends up always being a carb. So I mean Monday, yeah, I think Monday I was out in Epping and I was like, you know what, I haven't tried this fish and chips parcel at Rainbow, so let me give it a shot. And I mean I clapped it like nothing. And when I look at it on face value, I can understand why, because like I said in last week's podcast, a gram of protein and a gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories each. And 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 calories each. So it's clear and it's kind of obvious why I can eat so much less if I'm, banting in inverted commas. So, I mean, today as an example, I've got 250 to 300 gram pieces of meat from a boneless, I think it's a boneless brisket. There is some fat in there. I asked them just to leave some of the fat on there. I took the fat as well and I had them mince that for me. And I put about 2 tablespoons worth of fat to braise the onions. One of my subscribers said, more onion. So I did that, and the meat's kind of been cooking on and off, when I get back home. So when I leave, then I switch the stove off. When I get back home, switch the stove back on. So it's kind of been slow cooking because I don't know how to cook a brisket. I mean, it seems like a tough meat because it was solid meat. I'm talking like inch by inch portion block. So, I had one this morning, and then when I got back this afternoon, I had the second one, and I had a bit of a walk now, so I started chowing on the third one. But I just got some mushrooms, put some mushrooms in there as well. Just trying to figure out some sort of a dish besides just what these people are doing with, the carnivore and the lion diet. Just a slab of meat, salt, and some of them are preparing it in an air fryer, some are frying it, and so forth. I don't know, it just doesn't seem to agree with me. Or maybe I'm not having enough meat, but when I have too much meat, then I kind of get malaise because it's just too much protein. So I don't know if it's, mix it up with veggies. Maybe go back to having eggs in the morning for breakfast instead of beef. And then maybe, see if that tides me over for the entire day and have beef at night. Maybe some yogurt and fruit, like strawberries or blueberries. So yeah, it's been an interesting 18 days. I mean, I said in the beginning of the week I don't expect to lose more weight. Maybe into next week or the week thereafter, it'll start to sort of kick in. I don't feel like I've been in ketosis this week, but obviously I had that fish and chips parcel on Monday. And I was telling someone earlier, I'm still suffering from that. So let me see if I can, start the week off clean Sunday or tomorrow, or continue in this way since Tuesday. See what happens next week. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I can't describe it. It's not like there's a problem. I'm just struggling to find the things to eat. Like, chicken didn't do it for me. Clearly, the fish didn't work either. So, we'll see if and what I can try. See what works. And then try and figure out from there. Yeah. So, I don't know what to. I don't know what happened to the audio there. I don't know what to try next, to be honest. I mean, all the things that I used to have was like 2 to 4 egg omelets with, filling, cheese, feta, yogurt. So maybe I should go back to that and see how that goes. I mean, when I had the eggs, I felt a lot better because my blood sugar was regulated. So, yeah, maybe I'll try that again next week. Maybe make another big pot of beef bolognese, beef ragu. Maybe add mushrooms, peppers, olives, and a few other things to it. Maybe make a tomato sauce and throw that in there instead of using tomato paste. I know they say it's just tomatoes, but you never really know with shelf products. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, this has been a very weird observation test for me this time around. Um, and I don't know if it's because, I'm at that weight where I maybe need to start doing more intense exercise. So, I mean, do I start running? I'm not exactly built for running. Or do I start doing resistance exercise? We'll see. Calisthenics, maybe. So I don't know, it's kind of like a plateau, but like I said, I expected there to be a bit of weight gain because of the activity. So there should be some muscle conditioning. But I don't know, I haven't really thought it through in terms of an exercise routine. I could go back to what I know and alternate between upper body and lower body and cardio every second day. But I don't know, I mean, how many people have a gym membership can get to a gym? The second time around when I did this, it was to prove to people that you can eat your way healthier. And then once you get to a certain weight, you can actually start with the activity. So I guess because I haven't picked up all that weight to get to a point where I can demonstrate this rapid weight loss, it's kind of put me in this position where it's a lose-lose observation in a sense. So, I mean, if I'm going to lose weight till next week and then tell myself, okay, what have I observed? What's improved? Can I still lose another 35 kilos according to, the government guidelines, if you will, for my height? Or do I pack on the weight again in November and see, come December, have I rapidly gained a significant amount of weight to demonstrate this again? I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of sitting on the fence going, I'm in it. So I might as well just, go balls to the wall and continue. And just see. Maybe save all these lovely takeaways that people have been sending me in DM and in groups. And make a list of foods to try. Maybe do a food review as well. I mean, I have noticed that even without salt and pepper, the food has this almost natural flavor to it. I can taste salt, I can taste sugar, and that might just be from the onion. It might just be the sodium cooking out of the meat with the fat and all of these things. But yeah, it's just been a really weird week. What drove me to have fish and chips Monday? I was like, I feel like I need a reward. Was that me giving in? Was that me legitimately following a desire, which I also kind of believe you need to do? You can't just sort of cut it off completely and not expect there to be issues a week or 2 or 3 into all of it. I mean, I don't love sweet things and cakes, but if it's presented, I'll have one, and once I have one, I'll probably have all of them. But I know the one thing for me was, dark chocolate, and having that, and having nuts. I suppose that kind of became something for me to look forward to, pistachios or walnuts or a nut mix. And then there was, of course, the biltong and the cheeses. So I don't know, maybe I need to just go back to that. I mean, I'd have like a platter of egg, cheese, and biltong with some cucumber there in between, and maybe blocks of feta cheese as well. I don't know, maybe I need to increase the portion of beef. I mean, the other day I had like a kilo of beef for supper, sort of late lunch supper. And there was a lot of oil, a lot of fat on there. It was fatty pieces of meat. I think I posted on my status as well. But it just didn't seem to do it for me. And don't even get me started on the chicken. I mean, the chicken clearly doesn't even compare to the beef. So, yeah, there's a lot for me to note, consider, plan, and figure out the way forward in terms of, what am I going to focus on? Am I going to try and go this carnivore-ish, lion-ish route and cut out the veggies? Because, I mean, like I said, half of them are now on the orange list. And the ones that's still on the green list, if I look at them, they are high in other things that could be causing inflammation and pain, which I might be seeing or misinterpreting as gout. And that might be one of the reasons. I mean, one of the biggest things I did in the first and second round of me doing this was, braised spinach with chili, pumpkin, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, or cauliflower broccoli bake. But all those foods have this oxalate that everyone's referring to, and weirdly, by me cutting it out, I've had less aches and pains. So, I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards that whole thing of just cut everything out and work through the cravings, see how it goes, and then introduce a few things. So, I mean, maybe tomorrow I'll have steak and avo with feta cheese. Or maybe I'll make the same like I did now with the gravy, add mushrooms to it. And maybe I'll add chilies and peppers to it and make this creamy mushroom chili pepper sauce for the steak. I don't know, it seems weird that I've increased my metabolism significantly by doing these sort of light aerobic exercises, or whatever you want to call it. And, I now need a mix of protein and carb, but carb like from apples and veggies and other fruit. Or I need to increase my protein intake because it's the muscle tissue that's breaking down. Like I said, I've gained a little bit of weight, so it doesn't seem to me like the muscle tissue is affected at this stage. But with that gain, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a whole size down. Can I get to XL? Can I get to a large? That'll be significant. So we'll see. I mean, do I save these absolutely delicious takeaways that people are sending me for like once a month and say, okay, Friday we're going to treat ourselves to this and then suffer the whole week? The weekend, I mean. Most likely the week thereafter. I don't know. Or maybe someone can give me some advice or some insight to try and figure out what I should do. So, yeah. It's been a really weird week. The usual stuff, like I said, from starting this 3 weeks ago. That's all fine, Being, I suppose, more articulate or noticing things a lot more and a lot better, that's all fine. It's just trying to figure out, what do I need to increase? Fat, protein, or maybe I have a mix of carbs in there. Closer to 20 or 40 grams a day. And most likely in the morning or in the afternoon when people generally have that carb crash. That I'm still trying to figure out. I don't know. We'll see. So far so good. I'm happy with the results. I'm happy with the loss in clothes size. I'm confused a bit, but I suppose the increase in weight isn't an issue if I'm losing centimeters. As I've mentioned, muscle is heavier than fat. Maybe there's some water retention in the muscle with the activity. I've been having salt to try and counter the cramps, and I've managed to keep that at bay by increasing the salt intake. So it could be water retention. I'm not thirsty while I'm walking. I'm not thirsty afterwards. So there's a lot of things I need to think about and consider. Like I said, I'm happy about it's working. And at that stage now where I'm wondering, do I just continue this or do as I planned in November? So I don't know, maybe whoever's listening to this, my number and details is in the description. Pop me a message, let me know what you think. Yeah, it's silly season now as well, so I'm busy with time wasting things. And most probably going to be busy with that till Easter next year. This is just that crazy season. And kind of started middle September, so I don't know. Sitting here trying to figure out what. But either way. Yeah. I'll leave it up to you guys. I think maybe I should just make another massive pot of beef mince. Just add fillers to it, like maybe aubergine, maybe mushroom peppers, as I mentioned, patty pans, I think. What's the other one? Courgettes. Just add all of that in there, almost like a ratatouille, but with fatty mince. All of those things will absorb the grease, and it should end up being fattier, and it should also obviously fill me because of those things will be fibrous, and I don't know. I can see why some people are on this lion diet or this carnivore diet, although there seems to be a lot of confusion out there because people are like only eating beef, salt and water, and other people are eating beef and eggs, avo. That's not carnivore, because I don't see a carnivore eating avo. So I suppose I'm gonna have to try and figure that out somehow. But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much a report for the week. It hasn't really been too dramatic in terms of weight loss. Hasn't really been too dramatic in terms of weight gain. It's been a bit dramatic in terms of, a clothes size and a pant size lost. Yeah, that's about it. But I think I'm going to call it there. I don't know, I almost feel like I want to go for another walk. Or maybe go and sign up for a gym membership and go and do some resistance training. We'll see what Zone Fitness has. Check if their sauna is working. But yeah, I don't know. The way I feel right now, when I have a big buck of acne tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Um, with these cheats in between the acne and the fish and chips and, using bread to wipe out the pot, it's still a lot better than eating what most people are eating. So, yeah, I don't know. Let's see what the next week holds. Let's see what day 25 has for us next week, Friday. As I said, it's been a very lackluster week, for lack of a better word. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Enjoy the weekend. I've kind of spread my time out, so I will only be live again on Sunday night, thankfully. And yeah, I don't know. With the third show that I had, we'll see where I slot that in as well. Thank you again for tuning in, and I will see you next week.